welcome to the Entrepreneurial CPA Show. If you've watched an episode before, welcome back. We're happy you're tuning in. If it's your first show, congrats, welcome. I hope you get something out of this. Let's punch above your weight and break free the box, as we like to say. As always, we like to hit you up with the theoretical and practical skills you need to evolve into becoming an entrepreneurial CPA. I'm Garrett Wagner, here to challenge you to do something different and break free of that box. And I'm lucky enough to be here with the boxing bad boy of Bitcoin, straight out of Jersey, Dr. Tony. Before we get started, Dr. I feel like we've got something coming up, maybe down your way in New York City soon.
Well, actually, we do, on July 11th and 12th, right?
Yep.
Am I correct there, Garrett? Okay.
Yep.
So it's the accounting show, and it's happening right here in Manhattan at the Javits Center, and it is totally free. There are 100 credits or CPE credits, which all of us do need, and I think most importantly, Garrett and I are both going to be there doing individual, presentations and panels. And actually, the two of us, and Garrett, I think you have the information on this. The two of us are doing a keynote, right?
Yeah.
Yes. What are we? So I mean, what are we going to be talking about?
Opening day. We're going to be talking about
opening day. That's right.
Opening day, opening night. You got to stay tuned. You got to watch it up. We're going to be up. Short session, keynote, all about how to be an entrepreneurial CPA and the change in the profession.
And actually, Garrett, are the two of us actually going to be doing any sort of live episodes?
Yes.
At the show?
Days, behind the scenes, live episodes. Want to get on the show, come see us. It's not as intimidating as it may look. Say hi.
Not too behind the scenes, though, right, Garrett? I mean,
Right, yeah. Watch out for Dr. Shawnee. Sometimes, punching a little bit.
Well, it depends. How much coffee I've had.
Right? Yeah, we hope to see everybody there. Now, for today's show, as always, we're very proud to say it's brought to you by Prolera, reminding you that CPE doesn't have to be a grind, nor should it. And Hayrock Solutions, they provide the roadmap to how to get into advisory services. If you haven't checked them out, you got to check them out. Today's show, we're going to talk about something near and dear to my heart, millennials, the dreaded M word. We're going to kind of talk about the negative connotation for millennials being entitled, kind of where that comes from and what that means for firms and the overall
and Garrett, I can jump in here, right? Because I do know that's this whole issue.
You are a millennial yourself, so I'm always.
I am a millennial myself. Actually, I just turned the big 3-0 last week or so. So I am part of that age bracket that everyone loves to hate, right? And I do think that there are a whole bunch of myths and issues out there that are not quite understood either by the people who are in that age bracket or the managers and the partners at these firms. And I do think that sort of managing sort of this sort of back and forth is, I think, going to be more important going forward, right? Because the harsh reality is that in the U.S. There are 82 million people who are in our age bracket, right? 82 million people, and so we are going to be a force in the workplace, in the economy, in every sort of aspect of your life, whether the managers and the partners right now are okay with that or not. So I do think it is very important right now, right? As this whole, onboarding is happening, to have a, in-depth conversation to really analyze sort of what our age bracket wants, right? Sort of what we expect, and then what we are able to actually give, right, to the firms, the managers, partners, and our external clients as we onboard and become more influential overall, And I do know that, Garrett, you were at some conference last week, right? Some sort of Rainmaker conference. Was there any rain out there, or because
no rain out there?
I'm not quite sure. Yeah,
I was at a different conference. It wasn't Rainmaker, and there was a session where a gentleman got up, kind of talking about millennials and the generational changes, and his speech was all about how millennials are entitled, lazy, and are just bringing firms down in the workplace today. And that's really not the truth about millennials. It's not a productive conversation to have. For us millennials, and both of us are included in this piece, there's a lot of negative stereotypes about us, and there always is when new generations come into the fold through these generational divides. It's been happening since the Plato, the Aristotle days. It's always been a part of that.
Wait. So did you just drop Aristotle in here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there's some great quotes out there that kind of describe, the new generation is lazy and can't think for themselves and is uninformed and doesn't like to read and yada, yada, yada. A lot of times you see that at a conference, they won't say who said it. And they'll kind of say, who do you think said it? And you expect some of these more modern people. And it's Aristotle and Plato. Like this generational problems have been going on since the dawn of time. Every time there's a shift, there's this uprising, and everyone's always looking to blame the other ones for what they do and what they don't do. And we forget to look back at ourselves and see what we were like at that point in our lives and what we wanted. Each generation is different in their own way and has their own pros, cons, ups, and downs. And we got to remember what those are and how to kind of work with them. Each one is different, not because they want to be lazier than the one became for them. Each generation is impacted by the social economic climate they live in, they grow up in. So it's not that the world is lazy today and that's what makes us lazy. What makes millennials viewed as entitled is right now the world is dynamic. As you know, Dr. Sean, it's changing every day. We see people changing the world every day from around the world. We live in this globally connected world, innovation, acceleration, and we see that every day. We live in this amazing world, and we want, as millennial generation, we want to be a part of that. We want to be a part of that. We want our chance to make that change. And with the tools and the way the world goes, you're seeing more and more startups doing that. We see this rise of startups that are making millions. We just met one last week. Two gentlemen in their 20s. They've got a $15 million valuation company already. 1 year out of college. That's changed. It's changed tremendously. We're looking to get involved with that. But that's where the disconnect happens. That's what we see in the world. That's what we want. We have these grand ambitions and we want to do great things, which is great. Empower us. And instead, we get to the workplace and we live in this tiny little box of, I need to do just one little thing, and there's no purpose or passion or anything in work. It's just a job. And they wonder why we're not engaged where we work. Well, no one gives us anything to be engaged about. That's the biggest piece. Engage us where we work. Engage us in what's going on. Give us a passion. Give us a purpose. Yeah, because anybody can go to work for you for whatever that pay is, and punch the clock and do, as Dr. Sean loves to say, bank recs. Dr. Sean, you were in the private industry before you went in academia.
Yeah.
Did you find much passion and purpose in that job?
I mean, and I do think that it is important to just sort of highlight the fact that every company is different, right?
Yeah.
And that right now there are, I think, a whole bunch of companies out there who are trying to do a better job of engaging with and training and developing, employees and, reaching graduates who are entering out there into the workforce.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, if we are talking on the work that is done by a entry-level auditor or a tax person or even working in your industry, I mean, the sort of base level work that you are doing is not always going to be interesting. But I do think that it is important to hammer home the fact that if you don't understand those basic concepts, right, that it's going to be hard to then ever do anything else. So I do think there is a balance to be struck there, and a line, right, between sort of hammering home on the basics, bank recs, and to understand sort of how the business works, and then sort of you being able to add that higher level advice and sort of those advisory services that all of us want to do, I think there is that balance. But I do think that a more important point to sort of hammer home and sort of drill down on is to, if you are hiring people in a millennial age bracket, right, or even the upcoming generation, right, Gen Z,
yeah,
right? I mean, because they are already in college.
Yeah, you deal with them every day.
I see them every day. So sort of the core concept to hammer home there is that, fine, it is perfectly fine, to do bank recs, right? But it's important for firms and for managers and partners, to I think give those new hires a pathway forward, to be able to learn and develop, and to then sort of move into those higher level areas, right? Like and it can be AI, it can be blockchain, it can be anything.
Whole list, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we agreed on kind of that pathway forward and that's what a lot of businesses don't do. Yeah, you've got to start out. We've all got to start out, and as a millennial, you know that. I need to start out at a company and I start at the bottom.
Yeah,
work my way up. So give them that view and give them that path and that vision of here's what that working up can be. Mm-hmm. Here's where you can go. And really, as an organization, that notion, especially in public accounting firms, okay, you can't do this unless you've been here X number of years. You can't do this unless you've been here 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Those things never really made sense before. To say, okay, you can't do this until you've been here 20 years.
Yeah.
It never made sense before, and it still doesn't make sense. So kind of break that barrier, give them that roadmap, and let them do those things when they're ready. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to make them no longer be viewed as entitled and lazy, but engaged and just passionate, productive members of your organization.
Yeah.
Dr. Just about out of time. Any final comments you want to wrap up on?
Sure. So I would really want to emphasize, to hammer home that, so currently right now out there in the marketplace, there are options out there that are new, mm-hmm. and that aren't, or that were not out there previously. Like the two of us, even mm-hmm. the two of us, I mean, if we had come up in the 80s, the two of us would not be able to do, our show right now.
Yeah.
So it is important, I think, at a manager, at a partner, at a firm level, to understand that there are options out there and there are opportunities out there for these new hires, to, one, do things, and I think, two, to add value, both internally and externally, that had not been there previously. So I would sort of lead off with that, or to end with that, I guess.
Perfect. Appreciate it. As always, thanks for tuning in today and for listening to talk us about that negative stereotype of millennials being entitled. If you want to talk more about this, you know where to reach us. We'd love to talk about this. As a millennial, what's your view on it? As a Jax or baby boomer, how to deal with millennials. We're here to help. That's why we do this. Millennials doesn't have to be a bad word. If you're watching, you want to learn more, you want to be empowered to make a change in your life at your firm, think about joining one of our entrepreneurial CPA groups. Get the coaching and support you need. There's a link below. Check out our website. And for those of you watching on YouTube, don't forget, click up there, subscribe to our channel. Stay up to date when the content comes out. And as always, we're challenging you watching today. Take action to change the world and invest in yourself.